Hello everyone. Until now, we have understood the basic mechanisms of heat transfer, which are conduction, convection, and radiation. But we have understood them only in the physical form. Now, we need to develop our understanding so that we are able to convert this physics into mathematics. Now, the question will come why this mathematics is necessary. For example, let us say we have to design air conditioning system for a shopping mall and we need to obtain how much the capacity of this air conditioning system will be required, what are the heat sources, what is the temperature which is to be maintained. Then this analysis cannot be done only with the physical understanding of heat transfer mechanism. We need to obtain mathematical understanding of various parameters which will affect the heat transfer. So that's why we need to understand the laws of heat transfer in a mathematical form. So let us see which exactly are the laws which govern the heat transfer. So the first law is Fourier's law of heat conduction. It states that the rate of heat conduction per unit area through a body or object is directly proportional to the temperature gradient across that particular body or across that particular thickness in the direction of heat transfer. This is one important point we need to understand. To understand this point, let us consider a simple plane wall. Now, at this point, we can see there is one left hand side of the plane wall and there is one right hand side of the plane wall. Let us assume that on the left hand side the temperature is T1 and on the right hand side temperature is T2. Here we have shown a coordinate system. For this coordinate system, this point is the origin, that is 0, and coordinate system progresses in this direction, in the direction of thickness of this plane wall. Remember, we are talking about this thickness L. L is the thickness of this plane wall, while capital A, this is the cross sectional area of this plane wall. Remember, when we say cross sectional area in heat transfer, it means the area which is perpendicular to the direction of heat transfer. Also, we have written one parameter over here, T in bracket x. It is not T multiplied by x. No, it is not like that. It indicates that temperature T is a function of x, means temperature T depends on x. This is a physical understanding which is converted to mathematics. As we see on the left face of this wall, the temperature is T1, on the right face, the temperature is T2. So, with the increase in distance, the temperature is reducing, and this difference in temperature will be responsible for heat transfer by conduction. We are going to consider a very small elemental strip, a very small strip in the direction of the thickness of the wall. This small strip will be having a thickness of dx, which means the distance for heat transfer changes by the magnitude dx. So, in this particular change in distance, there will be very small change in temperature which will be denoted by dt. So, we are talking about very small change in temperature with respect to very small change in distance dx. So, this physical understanding helps us to establish mathematical equation for Fourier's law of heat conduction. So this is a simple two-dimensional view of the same geometry. In this case, again, our coordinate system starts on the left face, it progresses towards right, x increases in the direction of heat transfer. Then we have considered this very small thickness dx. There is this temperature variation and ultimately there will be temperature gradient. A is the cross-sectional area. Notice that on the left face the cross sectional area is A only, on the right face it is again cross sectional area A. So, by Fourier's law, we have understood the physical statement, we will convert it into mathematics. The statement, let us repeat, heat conduction per unit area through any body is directly proportional to temperature gradient across the layer. So, the heat transfer per unit area, which is on the left hand side, it is directly proportional to temperature gradient. Now notice one thing. Previously we have discussed that temperature difference is the motivating force for heat transfer. But in this case we are not talking about only temperature difference, but we are talking about the temperature difference with respect to change in location. So we are talking about temperature gradient. Gradient means change in temperature with respect to change in location. So now we have a mathematical form of Fourier's law. See the beauty of this equation. Such a long statement has been expressed in such a compact form because of mathematical representation of the physical phenomena. So now we have heat transfer rate per unit area directly proportional to temperature gradient. We need to eliminate this proportionality sign. So we need a constant of proportionality. So we will eliminate that sign by introducing the constant of proportionality minus k. So it gives us q by a is equal to minus k dt by dx. Now, this K is known as thermal conductivity of material of that particular wall or that particular slab or object. Now, the question comes, why this K is having a negative sign and it is not having a positive sign as usual? So, we need to again understand one more law of thermodynamics, which is a universal law known as second law of thermodynamics. We know that second law of thermodynamics helps us to decide the direction in which any process will occur. So also that particular law tells us that heat can transfer only from higher temperature to lower temperature. Now in this case, higher temperature is T1, lower temperature is T2. So it means when we write the expression for this dt, we will get, we always write it like this, final temperature minus initial temperature. So in this case, the final temperature T2, initial temperature T1. So T2 minus T1 will give you a negative quantity. And that's why to balance that negative quantity, and also actually it is physically wrong because T2 minus T1 cannot make the heat to flow by second law of thermodynamics. To tackle this problem, we have introduced this negative sign in this expression so that final heat transfer quantity becomes properly positive as per the physics as well as per the mathematics. That's why this K will have a negative sign right over here. So we can rearrange. We are interested in the heat transfer rate by conduction. So Q conduction is equal to minus Ka dt by dx. Like I said, K is constant of proportionality, is known as thermal conductivity. The negative sign ensures that heat transfer in the positive x direction is a positive quantity finally as per the second law of thermodynamics. Because we know unless and until any process, unless and until it follows first law as well as second law of thermodynamics, that process cannot happen. Then let us move forward. We need to understand the unit of K because it is a very important quantity that helps us to determine the rate of heat transfer. Physically also this quantity is very important. So this Q is minus Ka dt by dx. This is a generalized expression. Now let us reorganize the terms in this equation. So it gives us K is equal to Q upon A into dx upon dt. Now we will substitute units for each individual quantity. So unit for Q, heat, is watt, unit for area is meter square, unit for change in distance is meter, and unit for change in temperature is Celsius. So now this 1 meter square will absorb this meter. So what remains with us is watt per meter degree Celsius. But now notice one thing. Here we are not writing about absolute value of temperature, but we are writing about the difference of temperatures. And we have understood this in the fundamentals of thermodynamics that when we are writing delta T, the change in temperature, then Celsius, then at that point Celsius and Kelvin scales are same. So we can also say that unit of conductivity K is also watt per meter Kelvin. Remember, you don't need to add 273 when you are converting or when you are writing watt per meter degree Celsius into watt per meter Kelvin. No need to change the unit, no need to add the 273 parameter because here we are talking about delta T and previously we were talking only about the temperature. So both of these units, they are equivalent, they are equal to each other. This is a common mistake done by the students and I request you to avoid this mistake. Particularly during problem solving, students tend to add 273 in this value, and so that they think that they will get watt per meter Kelvin. So please do not do that mistake. Like I said, note that both the units of thermal conductivity K, that is watt per meter degree Celsius, and watt per meter Kelvin are equivalent or same. This is because when we consider temperature difference delta T instead of individual temperature T, then Celsius value and Kelvin value become equal. For example, let us say the temperature of a body changes from 10 degrees Celsius to the final value 12 degrees Celsius. Now we observe the temperature has changed by 2 degrees Celsius. Let us see what happens with the Kelvin temperature scale. So in Kelvin scale, these temperatures are T1 is equal to 10 plus 273, that is 283 Kelvin, and final temperature T2 is 12 degrees Celsius, so it is 285 Kelvin. When we take the difference, for Celsius scale it is 2 degrees Celsius, and also for Kelvin scale it will come out to be Kelvin only. It will come out to be 2 Kelvin only. So thus we can say that when we are talking about change in temperature and not the absolute value of temperature but change in temperature, then Celsius scale and Kelvin scale are equal. This we must keep in mind for to avoid any mistakes during problem solving. We'll move on to the next point now. The second law which is relevant to heat transfer is Newton's law of cooling. Remember that Fourier's law was telling us about conduction heat transfer. In the same fashion, Newton's law of cooling tells us about convection heat transfer. Let us understand it physically. This law states that rate of heat transfer by convection is directly proportional to the temperature difference between surface and the fluid which is coming in contact with that particular surface. Remember, in this case, either surface temperature is higher and fluid temperature is lower, or surface temperature is lower and fluid temperature is higher. Any case is possible. So that's why we have written temperature difference between surface and fluid. The difference can work both ways. So mathematically we can write by Newton's law of cooling, the heat transfer rate per unit area is directly proportional to the temperature difference between surface and the fluid. Remember, Ts, sometimes Ts may be greater than T infinity or Ts may be lesser than T infinity. Note here, Ts indicates surface temperature, T infinity indicates the fluid temperature. Now the question comes that Ts notation is understood by the students, that okay, temperature of surface. But what about this T infinity? Whenever we are talking about a fluid, let us say there is a hot surface and some air comes in contact with that hot surface, then it is very difficult for us to exactly judge, to exactly identify that up to which layer of air the heat is migrating, the heat is getting transferred, and that's why we are not able to quantify it properly. Rather, it is also not necessary. So that's why we simply indicate the temperature of fluid with the help of this symbol T infinity, because the extent of the fluid cannot be exactly known. Then we want to eliminate this proportionality sign, so we need a constant of proportionality. It is given by this parameter h. So Q becomes HA Ts minus T infinity. So remember this one thing, this H is known as heat transfer coefficient. Like I said, this Ts is surface temperature, T infinity is fluid temperature, A is convection heat transfer area, H is constant of proportionality known as heat transfer coefficient. Henceforth, we will call it as HTC. Now, this convection heat transfer coefficient is not property of the fluid. Remember, previously thermal conductivity was property of the material of the wall. But remember, this H is not property of the fluid. Actually, it depends on so many other parameters. It depends on the properties of the fluid, the temperature of surface, temperature of fluid, as well as we can say velocity of the fluid also, and it is affected by so many parameters. That's why we always determine it experimentally and then we apply it for a particular process in particular analysis. So it is determined experimentally, like I said, and depending on all the variables which can influence the convection. Remember, there are two types of convection that we have studied: natural convection and forced convection. So the fluid velocity is a very important parameter, and also fluid properties such as its viscosity, its density, these are very important, and that's why this heat transfer coefficient is dependent on multiple parameters. Then, like I said, this heat transfer coefficient is also dependent on surface geometry, nature of fluid motion, whether it is natural or forced, fluid properties, and fluid velocity. Now we will figure out the unit of this heat transfer coefficient. Here I have written directly watt per meter Kelvin. Let us see how do we arrive at this point to this final answer. So this H, when we rearrange the equation, we get H is equal to Q upon A into 1 upon Ts minus T infinity. So we will substitute units for individual quantities. So that gives us unit for Q or heat is watt, unit for area A is meter square, and unit for change in temperature or difference in temperature is degree Celsius. So ultimately what we get is unit of H as watt per meter square degree Celsius. But just now we have understood in some previous slide that when we are talking about difference in temperature, then Celsius scale and Kelvin scale are equal to each other. So that's why here also the unit of H, either it is watt per meter square degree Celsius or watt per meter square Kelvin, it doesn't matter. Both units are equivalent to each other, and during problem solving, I request you not to add 273 in this particular unit to get this particular unit. Both are equal to each other. Let us now move on. Then there is the third law which is necessary. Remember, firstly we understood the law of heat transfer for conduction. Then we understood law of heat transfer for convection. Now we are understanding the law of heat transfer which is particular for thermal radiation. So this law is known as Stefan Boltzmann's law for thermal radiation. It simply tells us that, hold on a second. It simply tells us that the radiation heat transfer per unit area from a black surface is directly proportional to the fourth power of absolute temperature of that particular surface. So mathematically we can write the radiation heat transfer per unit area is directly proportional to the fourth power of absolute temperature of that surface. Rearranging, we can write, we need to eliminate this proportionality sign, so we get Q black as sigma A Ts raised to 4, where sigma is constant of proportionality. It is known as Stefan Boltzmann's constant, and its value is 5.67 into 10 raised to minus 8 watt per meter square Kelvin raised to 4. I request you students that you derive this unit because this is very important for your understanding. What you simply have to do, you simply have to do this to keep this Q on the left hand side, take A and Ts raised to 4 on the left hand side, so that this will be watt, this will unit of area will be meter square, and unit of this Ts will be Kelvin raised to 4. So this is particularly for black body, but when we are dealing with the real surfaces which do not which are not exactly black, which do not completely absorb or completely emit the radiation, then we need a physical parameter known as emissivity. We always multiply this with the heat transfer rate. So for the real surfaces, the heat transfer rate by radiation is given as epsilon sigma A Ts raised to 4. Now, notice one thing. Here I did not tell you that degree Celsius and Kelvin, they will be equivalent in this case. No, in case of radiation, that is not the case. The reason behind this is in the physical understanding that we have already developed while we were learning about radiation. I will recollect it for you. In radiation, we understood that if the temperature of any body is above 0 Kelvin, then it will start emitting the radiation. So, which means whenever we are performing any calculation for heat transfer by radiation, we must convert the temperature in Kelvin scale. Only after that we should proceed for the calculation. It is not the case with conduction and convection heat transfer, but it is the case with radiation heat transfer. So that's why here degree Celsius raised to 4 cannot be written. It will never be written. Every time if you write that, then entire numerical, that entire problem solution will be wrong. So that's why you always convert that temperature in Kelvin scale and then you write down the unit of it and then you solve the problem using the formula. Now, if radiation heat exchange is taking place between a real surface and the surrounding, because surroundings they are also at some finite value of temperature like we discussed in the radiation mechanism, then there will be a heat exchange because radiation is a two-way path. So it will be given as Q real is equal to epsilon sigma A Ts raised to 4 minus T infinity raised to 4. These are basic formulae for radiation. We will also be studying this radiation for a particular module afterwards in detail. Presently, we should be concerned only about this fundamental understanding. So let us recollect. We have understood about Fourier's law of conduction, which gave us the concept of thermal conductivity. Then we understood Newton's law of cooling, which gave us the concept of heat transfer coefficient. And now Stefan Boltzmann law which of radiation, which told us that the temperature should always be converted to Kelvin if we are dealing with radiation heat transfer. So now the concept that is very necessary to be understood is that of thermal diffusivity, which we will discuss in the next session. Thank you everyone. If you find this video useful, you can subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the continuous updates. Thank you very much.